All right, so I've just watched the latest Sofia Coppola movie, Priscilla, which is a biographical movie about Elvis's wife, Priscilla Presley, and their relationship through her lens. Apparently, this is based off of the autobiography that Priscilla co-wrote about her relationship with Elvis called Elvis and Me. And I will say this about the movie, it made me want to pick up that book to see how faithful the movie was to that book. I get the feeling it was pretty faithful. I don't see why it wouldn't be. But I am curious to see, this relationship from the horse's mouth, as they say. But enough about that. The movie itself, it is very much dependent upon your knowledge of Elvis and the goings-on of his life. I'm not an expert by any means, but I am fortunate that I watched the Elvis movie that came out last year at least twice by now, so I was pretty familiar with the significant events of his life, so I wasn't too lost. But if you know nothing about Elvis, you know nothing about Priscilla, or anything going on here, you will be kind of confused as to what exactly is happening and why certain things are significant. But I don't think anybody's gonna watch this movie if they don't know who Elvis is or about these types of things. This is a movie for people who are invested in these two historical figures and their, particularly Elvis's impact on culture, music and pop culture and all that type of stuff. So if you're okay with that, then I do think you will get a lot out of this movie because it is told from the perspective of Priscilla, who is someone that I don't think her side of this tale has really been told before. This movie is a lot more subdued and laid back than the Elvis movie that came out last year. That movie was all flash and was basically hitting the bullet points of Elvis's life. This movie kind of zooms in and examines the relationship that he had with his wife on a very microscopic scale from her point of view. So because of that, you are kind of Elvis's big events, like his social influence, his celebrity, are kind of in the background. They do have a big impact on the story, but Priscilla, because of her relationship with her husband, she's kind of kept to the side of all of this glitz and glamour, right? Elvis didn't really involve her in all of that. He didn't want her to be involved in all that. So because this movie is from her perspective, we don't really see that side of Elvis's life that got so much focus in the last movie. And I think that works really well because this movie really does highlight the highs and lows of the relationship. One word of criticism that I did have, though, is that I felt like it ended very abruptly. It starts very abruptly. It just kind of throws you in there of like, here we go, this is what the movie's about. And then it ends. If you know the story, it's not really a spoiler, but if you don't know what's going to happen and you still want to watch it, then skip this part of the video because I'm about to spoil what happens between Elvis and Priscilla. So consider this your warning, but they separate, they get divorced, after she has a child. And the movie ends when she leaves him. She just says she's going to leave him. They leave on bittersweet terms. She's happy to have gained a sense of freedom away from Elvis, but she still loves him and she's sad that she's leaving him. And she drives off and Dolly Parton singing "I Will Always Love You" is playing, and the movie ends and she drives off. And I understand that the movie is about the growth of Priscilla as a person and how she went from someone who idolized Elvis, right? She was a teenager when she met him and she kind of worshipped him, kind of like, a bunch of girls worshipped Justin Bieber and Harry Styles and even Taylor Swift nowadays, right? Nothing's new. She was like that, and every teenage girl's dream back in the day, she married the guy, And it turned out not being exactly what she thought it was going to be. Elvis wasn't, you know, she placed him on this pedestal, and he has a lot of faults, and he wasn't perfect, and the relationship was far from perfect. And the celebrity just kind of disillusioned her, and she kind of gains her freedom by leaving that bad relationship. And so the movie's about her kind of maturing and growing up and learning that this fantasy is not reality. So I understand why the movie started abruptly and ended abruptly, because that's really all it wanted to tell. But to me, it felt like it was kind of saying the only significant part of Priscilla's life was when she was in a relationship with Elvis. The movie starts when she meets him and ends when she leaves him. And I was really curious to see what she did after she left him, right? She still has a lot of life left to live. What did she do after that? And the movie doesn't tell us. She just leaves him. And so I kind of get mixed messages of she becomes her own person. She's not dependent on him anymore. But what did she do? I don't know, it's kind of contradictory to me. So that was kind of weird to me. The movie's also real slow. The Elvis movie that came out last year was a lot more entertaining. It was a lot more long. But you could tell it's also very much the bullet points of Elvis's life. This is very contemplative and slow and emotional movie, not as flashy. So yeah, I'm glad I watched it. I don't think I would ever watch it again though. And aside from that one criticism though, it was very well done. Really good period piece, great directing, great performances all around by everybody involved. Good job there. So yeah, if this is something you're interested in, if Elvis and Priscilla and that era in American history is something that really fascinates you, then I would say go check this out. But if you're not a fan of Elvis, you don't really care, or you just don't know, then I would say this is a good one to skip. You don't really need to watch this one. But yeah,